Oh, wait. Oops, wrong scene. But anyway, hey guys, welcome back to another Blender live stream. I'm your host Morgan Ozpin, and today we are gonna be continuing with making this animation I've started about a year ago now. I gotta say to guys, I haven't really been working on this animation for quite a while. Um, Usually because I want to say that it's my college that's preventing me from finishing this project from ever getting finished, but I don't know. I guess I'm just feeling a little bit lazy nowadays. I guess the subject of this live stream, or I mean like the title, I mean, of this live stream. No. Am I getting... Hello? Sorry, I'm just checking to see if my live stream is working properly. I thought that my microphone was having some connection issues with my computer, but I think it's just something that's wrong with my earphones that I'm using to analyze the audio here. Alright. I think I'm doing well here. Anyway, I'm gonna continue on with this freaking coloring shit because I haven't been. Because if you guys can see my progress right now, I think I barely did anything for the scene. I mean, my last live stream of this is I think 2 weeks ago, and I barely did any work for this one specific scene. But anyway, as you can see, I've already did a little bit of the outlining and stuff here. I just need to like finish up all the coloring, which is just very easy to do. But for some reason, my mind just thinks to itself, "Yo, Morgan, maybe you shouldn't finish this shit because you are a lazy fuck right now and not the person that you were before, which is a person who is so interested in the subject of Blender animation." But anyway, I apologize if there's any background noise. I think it's just the fan that's the issue. Is it affecting my...
Well, I think I just need to point this to a different direction.
Hold on. There we go. Alright. Hold on, let me just check my audio one more time to see if there's any problem with the... Okay, definitely. I think I'm really fine with the audio, but God, it's always the audio that I always have. I always worry about whenever I do these streams. It's it's like the one factor in all of my live streams that is so unpredictable to me. Everything else, like the visuals, I can pretty much predict the outcome of, but for audio, for some reason, audio always seems to be the wackiest thing for me to analyze and correct. But anyway, let's just go finish up this freaking animation here. So yeah, I think it's been a week since I've last streamed. Last thing we did was make an image slideshow in Visual Studio Code with no prior planning. And now we are here back again in Blender to do whatever we have to do. By the way, this isn't how it's supposed to look like. Hold on. I think we could just make a few adjustments here. Anyway, what I plan to do for the next few live streams is that I would alternate between using Blender as a source for you know, as something that I will be doing in my live stream with other softwares I plan to experiment on. Like, I mean, most of the time in between Blender live streams, I would probably do some visual code shit, you know, play around with JavaScript and stuff, and maybe even try some new avenues to explore with my live streams. Like, for example, I want to tell you guys the story about how I about this presentation I did in school. I want to turn into a live stream idea at some point, but I'll tell you guys the story. So I'm taking this dental materials class in my school right now, and during one of our classes, my teacher decided that as like additional points for us in our grades for our final report, we would be doing like an oral presentation in regards to a new material being developed in the 21st century right now, that's being used in the field of dentistry to make things from anything like dental fillings to... Oh, it's the wrong layer. Hold on. Is this the right? Wait, hold on. I need to move this thing here. Oh my god, I'm not really a good talker when it comes to this thing. Move to wrestler. There we go. Alright, so back to story time. So I was tasked to do this group oral presentation wherein it is my job to discuss a new material being developed in the field of dentistry to make things like restorations, like dental fillings, and other things like, you know, removable partial dentures, orthodontic appliances, complete dentures, and, you know, any material that can be considered something that we use to make anything in our field. Since it's a group presentation, it is, you know, mostly natural for people to, you know, brainstorm some ideas as to what their oral presentation should be all about. But in my case, I already have like an idea, because it was an idea that I've been, or I guess a presentation that I've been cooking for the past I would say 4 years now. And it's on the subject of CAD cam. Now you might be thinking, yo Morgan, for CAD cam, it's not like a material being developed in dentistry technically, it's more so like an equipment or process that's emerging right now, rather than, you know, something that you could talk about in a dental materials class. And you're right with that assumption, but I figured that with the with the topic of CAD cam, I could focus more on the subject of 3D printing resin, because that feels like a good way for me to adapt my presentation to this dental materials class. And I pretty much took the reign as leader for this group project, and I made our presentation be all about freaking 3D printing resin, technically. But there's some parts in our presentation where I still need to explain about what CAD cam really is, because in the end, I'm still presenting this to a bunch of newbies who may not have any idea what CAD cam is. So I think a little bit more of context as to what 3D printing resin is in terms of its use could be ideal for this presentation. So I brought up the idea that, hey guys, we can do this 3D printing resin presentation for our oral report, and they agreed. Because they didn't have any other idea what else we can report for this class. And I don't mind them not knowing what to report. I mean, our topic should be anything that is related to something that we haven't learned yet in class, which is, you know, any material that's being studied right now in recent years in terms of the materials that we will be using in our field. So, you know, I didn't really fault them for not really knowing what to do for this presentation, so sorry, I took the reins. I told them, yo guys, don't worry, I can do that. I can handle this shit for you guys. Oh shit, wait. Let me just select this, move to wrestler color. Move to wrestler color. By the way, I think I've already talked about this oral presentation of mine like one semester before. But this is not the same presentation I did before. This is more so, you know, this is a more recent story that just so happens to reuse the same presentation I had with the added material of having more information about 3D printing resin. But anyway, so I did this presentation in front of my class, or at least I made this presentation for about 1 week. Well, not really 1 week. I pretty much finished this presentation in just about 3 days or something after the announcement that we will be doing this presentation in class. All right. And any backstory in regards to how I got into dental CAD/CAM, I will refer you to my video on me showing my PC setup like 2 years ago. I think I told you guys my backstory and how I got into CAD/CAM, and of course eventually, you know, Blender and all of its 3D modeling features. But anyway, so I made this report in just a matter of 2 days. And while I was doing the report, I came to realize that, yo, this is, you know, kind of stressful to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty much excited in showing my classmates this newfound material in front of class, but not gonna lie, this presentation was a little bit of a headache to finish. Especially when this is supposed to be the size of a group oral presentation. So I had to like look into some research in regards to how these 3D printing resin works, because as someone who, you know, who actually, you know, used these softwares and material before, I never really dived into how these softwares, how these 3D printing resin actually is made up of and stuff like that. And you know, it only came to my attention that these 3D printing resin sort of made up of the same ingredients that normal resin has, like normal acrylic resin has. Aside from the fact that the 3D printing resin has photo initiators and inhibitors that hardens the overall mixture when exposed to UV light in the 3D printer. Basically, if you've heard of 3D printing, you know, general things before, you probably get a gist of how dental 3D printing works as well. It's just that the difference between the two is that we now use more accurate printers and more biocompatible resins for our for 3D printing, because if not, you know, it could lead to, you know, toxicity by the patient if we use like the wrong materials, and you know, maybe some comfortability issues when the material that we printed isn't accurate or doesn't conform to the surfaces of the oral cavity. So that's why I was like studying a little bit more about 3D printing resin. um, and I gotta say, it's pretty stressful getting this all together, even though I pretty much tackled this subject before. I started to learn a few new things to make it, you know, conform to the requirements imposed by my dental materials professor. And by the time I was finished with this, I was pretty much, I think, burned out. Because after I did this presentation, it just felt like taking a break from doing anything else, including, you know, the things I'm doing in the vanilla log, right? Like, you know, doing animations and learning some more Visual Studio Code / JavaScript lessons. So I took a break, and I feel like I'm still in that burnout phase right now because I don't know. It's just I don't know how it feels, but it's kind of like if you work on a very hard project. Have you ever like felt like you're working so hard in this one specific project, then after you finally completed the goal, it feels like your body just wants to take a vacation because you pretty much hyped yourself into thinking, hey, what you've been doing, this is the end goal. Like this is like the end of your life right now. Like, well, not really the end of your life. I mean, like this is like the epitome of what you've been working out, of what you've been working for throughout your entire life, and now you can finally rest and shit. You know, have you ever felt that? Have you ever like been in that sort of situation before, where you feel like you're working on something to a point that you put your mind and body into it, and then all of a sudden, once you finally reach that goal, you just don't want to do anything else because you've sort of conditioned your mind to just focus on this one goal, and now that one goal is done, your body's now just like, now what? And now you're in this sort of delusional stage wherein you wanna just sit back and relax before you move on to the next project. that's what I'm feeling right now. Because, and I think especially if you'll feel that that wave of emotion, especially when you finally, you know, meet your goal, and then you start to realize that that goal isn't really that experiencing that goal for the first time isn't what you really expected it to turn out when you finally reach it. Like, for example, I thought that the presentation I did was okay, was great by my standards. And you know, I was expecting, and I know this feels like an asshole thing for me to expect, but I was expecting my teacher to go, yo, this is so great and shit, this is so mind-bogglingly good and something I haven't heard of before. And technically that happened in my class. My teacher did say that he never heard of this 3D printing resin before, but she did comment on the fact that my presentation sort of lacked a little bit more information about what this 3D printing resin is. And you know, I can't fault her for that critique. I mean, it is a dental materials class, so the presentation did have to focus more on the 3D printing resin side of things. And by the final result of the presentation, we did sort of lose track of that subject. I more so discussed on the CAD/CAM process of things than on the material of 3D printing resin. So my teacher was sort of a little bit iffy on that sort of statement, and you know, she was very kind on letting us know that, hey, this isn't really what I expected from a presentation like this. But as for my monkey brain, my freaking nosy little bitchy self side of me was like, what the fuck, this isn't what I expected it to happen. Yeah, and you know, I can't really stop myself from feeling it that way, but you know, I know that I'm not supposed to feel feel like I should, you know, always have a perfect presentation all the time, but I was so like out of the loop when the teacher commented on that I had to like take a little bit of a step back and reanalyze my presentation to see if I did anything wrong. Because I don't know, I guess I'm a perfectionist when it comes to these types of assignments. And I know I should really break that habit, but I just couldn't. So I started questioning the presentation itself, thinking, yo, did I do anything wrong with this? Did I is the writing, the scripts, or the overall slides not good enough? And you know, I started to like think a lot about my presentation that just happened a week ago. That, you know, I just how do I say this? I just sort of stopped doing anything else that I planned to do throughout the week, aside from maybe a biking session with my family. But other than that, I was just so busy like thinking about my presentation with this one dental materials class, that I didn't really have room in my mind to think about other things that might be going on with me throughout the week. Like, oh my god, it's like already my exam week right now in school, and I barely did any studying on that. Because just this morning I recently, you know, had an exam on, well, my dental materials class once again. You know, my stories are framing it as if my only class in college right now is dental materials, but believe me when I say I do have other classes. But for now, my itinerary for today was to take an exam in my dental materials class, and all I can think about throughout the entire duration of the time I should be studying is thinking about what I should do better with my presentation in this specific class, not realizing that I should have been studying on other things in my class. Like, I should probably, you know, like study on the lesson that my teacher had on dental ceramics, and it was only like a few hours before, not even a few hours, but like an hour before the exam, that I finally, you know, took the time to make some notes in regards to this one lesson I haven't studied before. And you know, it's this one presentation, it really is like messing with me for the majority of my week, which is why right now I am feeling lazy. I mean, it's not technically the kind of lazy that you know, you just don't want to do anything. I mean, you kind of do want to do something, but you just you know that the thing that you want to do isn't really gonna be helpful to you anymore, because it's something that concerns the past and not the present. You know, when it comes to this presentation of mine. And I guess I should really learn now to move on from this one presentation that I had with my dental materials professor. But you know, if there's one thing that really drives me to do the actions that I'm doing right now, it is freaking enthusiasm. And after the presentation, not everything was, you know, all bad news. You know, even if my professor really didn't, you know, was really 100% into my lecture, I did get some comments from my classmates saying, yo, this, you know, Morgan, I know this is, I'm not really the most brightest of students in this class, but you know, your presentation really did freaking inspire me to study more on this specific field, and I wanted to know if you know, if you have more information in regards to this topic. And I'm like, hey, yo, okay, yeah, sure, I can help you, man. This is I'm wording one of my classmates who came up to me, and yeah, the guy was really interested in CAD CAM, and you know, speaking from, you know, my own opinion, I think I pretty much ditched the whole learning more about CAD CAM at some point during my life, mostly because I just feel like the process of learning CAD CAM is just not worth it, considering the price of all the equipment required to learn about this specific field in dentistry, or the specific subject. But after hearing, you know, the enthusiasm of some of my classmates wanting to learn more about this these new softwares and hardware that we use in CAD CAM, it really made me want to actually learn about CAD CAM itself, because my god, you know what's much more infectious than a disgruntled old wizard not wanting to learn CAD CAM anymore? It would be bright-eyed students wanting to know more about a subject that you barely know about, but you want to learn now because these guys are just very curious about this subject that is, you know, computer-aided design and manufacturing. Hold on, let me quickly move this up here. And you know, that's what I did throughout my entire week. I mean, maybe my entire week, because this only happened I think just a few days ago. After, you know, getting these questions from my classmates, I started taking like a little bit of a refresher course as to how CAD CAM works. Learned a little bit about this one software called Blue Sky Bio, which is a software introduced to me by my dad when we first started learning about CAD CAM. And then I decided to consult. Well, not really consult, but I decided to meet up with another person who used to be like a CAD CAM, not really a CAD CAM teacher, but more so like a person that I used to talk with whenever I want to learn more about CAD CAM. And he told me that he was going to be investing on some 3D printers and this new laptops that he wants to, you know, show off. He wants to learn more about, to get to know more about CAD CAM. And you know, he's sort of inviting me right now to, you know, learn with him in regards to how the CAD CAM process works. And I at first I didn't really. He gave me the same offer to me before, but I respectfully declined because I didn't. Because, you know, I was so focused on my university work that I didn't have time for these extracurricular lessons outside of my university. But after you know, realizing that my schedule is now being open to some slots, I decided to take him up on his offer and learn CAD CAM with him. The problem right now is that even though I told him that, hey, I'm gonna have some free time from now on to learn about CAD CAM, I'm pretty sure that at some point my schedule will be filled up with some shit that I have to deal with that isn't CAD CAM, like Because I wanna, as much as I want to learn more about CAD cam, I know that I wanna spend more time with family and shit. Because my mom is yeah, my mom really wants us to, you know, be together and shit, and I wanna, you know, make some time with her whenever possible. So I wanna dedicate some of my schedule to helping her, not only helping her, but more so like hanging out with her and, you know, do some shit that any mother and son would do, like, I don't know, like, because we just recently did a biking session with not only her but with my brothers and sisters and my uncle, and I wanted to you know, it's pretty fun, not gonna lie. It's not only am I, do I think that, you know, it is, you know, it's of good morals to hang out with family. It's also pretty fun to hang out with your family, especially if it's a biking session around the city. We stopped by a waffle diner. I was about to say Waffle House, but that's an American brand, and I'm definitely not from America. But after our biking session, we went to this waffle diner that sells like the best cooked waffles that I've ever eaten. I would say it's even better than Denny's. And Denny's, I think, is the gold standard as to how American diners should operate. But this Waffle House really took it out the park for me by giving me these waffles that has this hint of cinnamon to it, and so delicious and shit. Anyway, go hang out with your family, guys. You might eventually stumble upon a Waffle House during one of your pasyals, you know, as we call it in the Philippines. Pasyal just means like a hangout session with your friends and family, but in this context, it's mostly about family. Hang out with your family and shit. And I want to do more of that in the future. Hold on, let me quickly turn on the electric fan here because it's getting a little bit hot in here. But yeah, going back to CAD cam, I'm thinking of doing a stream at some point in the future in regards to a stream or maybe a video, but I think I should probably do a stream because I want to serve videos to some things that I've actually took a lot of research in. I want to do like a stream wherein I just talk about CAD cam for a couple of hours. Because I pretty much have the research done in my Google Docs somewhere. I just need to, you know, make a PowerPoint of it and maybe show it off to you guys at some point. Because I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty good stream idea to just talk about CAD cam for an hour or so. It sort of fits with the branding of me, where I just talk to you guys about some stuff that I learned about in the past couple of months, and I think CAD cam is just the next video essay idea for this channel. I did say that I wanted to do a video essay on learning about languages, but when I say languages, I don't mean computer languages, but, you know, just languages in general, like Spanish or shit like that. But I'm now more convinced to do a video, a live stream on the topic of CAD cam at some point. Why a live stream, you might ask? Well, okay. So the the thing about videos, guys, is that I notice this whenever I watch any YouTube video right now in my recommendation feed. Whenever I look into a video on any topic, I expect full on that the person who is talking to me right now on the screen would know exactly what he or she is talking about. That applies in all, I guess, all video essays / tutorials that I watch, from Blender tutorials to coding tutorials to, I don't know, I sometimes occasionally look into music video essays and shit. I always come with the clear expectation that the person that is talking to me right now knows exactly what he or she is talking about. With live streams though, the freaking rule set is pretty much different. With live streams, you don't expect a person to be, at least to be articulate in the way he talks about his or her ideas, because with live streams, you're pretty much expected to make mistakes, because you can't just edit those mistakes out from the get-go. So I come with a clear mind that with live streams, you can make any mistake you want and people won't really give a shit about it. With videos, the bar is a little bit more higher. If you don't know what you're talking about, people are gonna flame you for it in the comment section. But not with live streams though. And I guess that's just one clear example of how the medium, I don't know if the quote that I'm gonna say right now is correct, but I think this is a clear example of how the medium is really the message. And the reason why I wanna make my CAD cam idea into a live stream format in the future rather than a video essay is because, not gonna lie guys, I don't really have any experience with with CAD cam. Even though I did tested out some 3D printers and dental CAD software in the past, I am not really confident in the work that I've created with CAD cam so far. So I am reserving this as a stream idea because I am setting up the audience expectation that in a live stream presentation, you're gonna be saying some bullshit that may not, at least translate into real life, I'd say. And you might be thinking, well, if you don't have any confidence in this topic, why not just build up on this lesson a little bit more until you're pretty much confident about what you say. And to that I say, well, I had this subject in my mind of CAD cam as a video idea for the past, I would say even before I became a wizard on the internet as the person that you're seeing right now, Morgan Ozpin. It's something that I've been juggling on for the past couple of years right now. And the one thing I think is the barrier to me being confident about my idea of how CAD cam works is the fact that I don't really have any practical experience. I lack practical experience in regards to the world of CAD CAM. I mean, I did touch the actual physical object before, but right now I don't have any access to any equipment right now that is related to the CAD CAM field of dentistry. And I guess that's one standard that I hold with my videos right now. It's the idea that if I'm gonna make a video of it, I might as well have the ability to do the things that I'm explaining right in front of the camera. And you know, I think you can see that in my freaking coding video that I did show you guys myself creating the thing in real time in the video, the code for my website. Same goes for my music video essay. We're gonna talk about LMS. I showed you guys some live stream clips of me making it live on stream. But with CAD CAM, I don't really have the equipment or the. I do have the software, but I don't have the equipment. I guess that's the one thing. If I'm gonna do a CAD CAM video at some point, I wanna have the equipment that the 3D printers required to, you know, show you guys how it works overall. So I can record the process of it using a janky Android phone or something like that. And that would be it. That would be how my ideal CAD CAM video would be. But for now, I'm gonna reserve this as a freaking live stream idea at some point. I did used to have a 3D printer in my house before, but right now my 3D printer is pretty much broken because I really didn't know how to maintain a 3D printer before, so it always results in prints that's either sticking to the fab sheet underneath the vat, in the bottom of the vat, or prints that feel like a blobby mess compared to what actually looks like in the 3D viewer of my computer. You know, it's the one thing I guess that's holding me back from learning more about CAD CAM is just the way I order stuff in real life. In other words, I'm a very dirty person in real life, guys. If you ever meet me in real life, my mom would always say to me, "Yo, Morgan, you're a very smart person, but you're a very unhygienic person in real life." Like I kind of agree with her, and it's only recently that I tried to at least try to do stuff like clean my room and take care of my belongings. But it's a very it's very hard for me to. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just like Asmongold, I guess. That's the I admit it. I'm pretty much just, I guess, a Filipino Asmongold. If you look at my freaking room right now, I really need to clean my shit. I have a bunch of materials that I use for my lab work in my university, and right now there is like a bunch of impression material right next to my TV, as well as a plaster bowl and some impression trays right now next to a weighing scale that I've only used once in my class before. So yeah, I do need to clean up at some point. Once I obtain a 3D printer and I learn how to fix myself in real life, I will. It's when I'll probably do a freaking CAD cam video for this channel. I don't know. But for now, I think my next video idea is either gonna be a video on learning foreign languages or a video on maybe VFX. I want to get into VFX at some point. It feels like a very interesting topic to me to learn more about in Blender. But anyway, I guess that's the one thing that's been happening to me this week. What else have I been doing? Oh wait, did I just... Okay. Alright, let me just finish up this one wrestler here. Alright. Maybe I'll just finish up this one frame while I think about what we could talk about next here. Right. I think it's lacking some vertices, so I'll just instead make a new loop over here. There we go. There we go. All right, nice. Oh, by the way, I finally thought about a freaking thing we can talk about. Have you guys heard of that? Have you guys seen that video where PewDiePie freaking talked about Linux for 22 minutes straight? That was that was an interesting video to watch. My God, I really wanted to learn about Linux ever since before PewDiePie introduced it to me. I think the first person that introduced me to Linux was either... who's the guy who made Tarboy? It was either one Tarboy creator, James Lee, yeah, James Lee, or who was the other guy? I think it was Linus, I think. Or was it some ordinary gamers? It's either one of those Linux, those people in YouTube that talks about obscure tech and software on the internet. But yeah, I was always so interested in Linux because the idea of an operating system being so lightweight that it's much faster than Windows intrigued me for the longest time. But the reason why I haven't really been switching to Linux right now, I'm still using a Windows freaking computer, because if you... Okay, is my freaking desktop audio turned on? Okay. I can prove to you guys that I'm using Linux, and I'm using Windows, because you can hear that? That's the sound of Windows telling me that I'm changing my volume. But anyway, the one thing that's really been holding me back with switching to Linux is the fact that most of the apps that I use, I don't know if, well, not really my app, I'm actually not sure about this, but I think most of the apps that I use right now for making stuff, not only in my channel but also in my university, requires me to, you know, use Windows rather than Linux. That I think correct me if I'm wrong with this, but I think VC Face. Hold on, let me just quickly check on this. Does VC Face have a Linux version? Because I think that's the one thing that's holding me back from switching to Linux. VC Face. Linux? Okay, I'm looking at the freaking DuckDuckGo here. Someone made a Reddit post on using VC Face on Linux, so I guess it works, I guess? Download. Does this work? Oh, shit, I don't want to download this, okay. VC Face. Does VC Face work for Linux? Or is this just... Let's see, I'm not seeing any freaking... Oh wait, no, it does work. It does run on Linux, never mind. Okay, so yeah, there are seems to be some limitations to using. I mean, it's possible to use VC Face, but there are some things you need to do first before you use VC Face on Linux. Oh shit! Do I have a? Hold on, has it been there for the longest time? Okay, it's a recent thing, I guess. Oh shit! This isn't. Firefox, get out of my freaking screen right now. Oh my god. Is it this one? There we go. Alright. So yeah, I guess VC Face does sort of technically work on Linux, but gotta like jump through hoops that I don't think I could really wrap my head around. You see, I guess that's the one thing I have problems with Linux. Despite having my full respect of it being an open source operating system, where it's a more so not an operating system, but more so like a series of operating systems. Despite having my full respect for it, I just find it hard to switch to it, just for the mere fact that the applications that I need is solely based on Windows most of the time, and that's the reason why the transition for me is hard. But that doesn't stop me from saying that, hey yo, I want to get into Linux Mint at some point. Because if this one experience I have with Linux is the fact that I have a freaking Android phone, and an Android phone seems to be working just as well as Linux as any other device that I have. But yeah, Linux, I'm gonna get into it at some point. I thought I have more to say about Linux, but I guess that's the one thing I want to explain here on this one section of the stream, the fact that Linux doesn't support the apps that I use. Not all apps though, I think Blender can still work on Linux, as well as some other stuff like Krita, GIMP especially. I will say GIMP is a bad operating system, but to me, I think that only applies to people who are so dedicated to Photoshop. Because someone who used GIMP as their first photo editing software, it's there's like I guess a barrier to entry, I guess. But I mean, like, that's I guess how it's supposed to feel like whenever you enter, when you're first learning about a photo editing software for the first time. But you know, once I got through that gap of not knowing how, you know, any photo editing software works, GIMP is really not bad of a photo editing software to begin with. But then again, though, I have only been using GIMP for non-professional uses. I don't know what's like to use GIMP in, you know, the industry, but for hobbyists like me, I think GIMP is a very workable solution. As a replacement to Photoshop. But hey, if you don't like GIMP, you can always use something like Photopea. I heard that's a pretty good web-based application. Or if you're like my classmates, you can use Canva. And I think I'm gonna do a hot take here. Canva is a pretty good it's a pretty good service, I must say, for making presentations and maybe even making some homework assignments where you need to make a bunch of charts for your professor and shit. Canva can do that pretty well, not gonna lie, and the learning curve to learning about the service isn't that drastic, so anyone can really jump into Canva. So yeah, anyway, let me just make some of these freaking blobs of blue over here. All right. Alright. Alright, exiting my talk on Linux distros and free and open source softwares, I wanna talk about this. Did I talk about this before? I don't think I talked about this before. I recently was supposed to enter a video. No, not video essay. A writing essay contest, an essay writing contest. In my university. I think I talked about this before. Did I talk about this before? Fuck it. I'm gonna talk about it anyways. So I think a few weeks ago, my freaking. Okay, what the fuck's happening here? Can I please make this color? What the fuck, Blender? This isn't this isn't Linux. You're not supposed to be glitching out like this. Hello? Am I even in the? Oh, that's why, I guess. Wait. Hello, Blender. What the fuck is happening? There we go. Oh, fuck that fucking shit. Okay. Anyway, that was weird. Yeah, let me just erase this shit. I don't wanna. It's really messing with my idea of how these strokes should be ordered. Okay, good. Shit, finally, nothing's glitching out right now. Okay, good. Okay, I'm just noticing. Is the recent version right now 4.2? Or more specifically, I thought that I was already in Blender 4.3 when I first started. Oh. Hello, I'm Kit. What are you making? Oh, I am making a freaking wrestling animation right now. You want to see the progress of it so far? So I'm just gonna remove the color because I think the color would only not put in focus the actual animation I did right now. But here is the scene that I've made so far. There we go. Guy goes headbutting, the guy then goes for the low blow, then he freaking power bobs him into the floor. Yeah, look at that. Pretty cool. By the way, I think I'm noticing that there's some latency issues between me and the chat right now, so if I'm responding too late to your messages, I apologize. But yeah, we're doing this one wrestling animation, and now I am working on doing the coloring for this. And I don't think we're even halfway through this, so buckle up. We're gonna be here for a while. I think I should have been finished with this by now, but I have been so lazy finishing this one project because I don't know. It's the thing from the situation before is that I only had to focus on one thing for this channel, and that is, you know, working on some Blender animation. But now I'm doing so many things under the vanilla log name, like making music, learning code, managing a website, and playing Harvest Moon. Out of all these complicated shit, there's the one simple act of me just playing an old DS game. And I think as a consequence to my actions, I am now suffering from choice paralysis on what to do next in regards to what I should be doing for this channel. Should I be, you know, doing a Blender animation or learning more JavaScript and shit? It's you see, I mean, it's the reason why people say to set your goals, because if your goals are all over the place, you're just basically gonna not do anything because you don't have any plans as to what you should be doing for the majority of the day, since your goals are out of order and shit. I'm approaching this as if I'm a self-help guru, but in reality, I'm really a very messy person to deal with. So don't seek me. Don't go to me for advice on how to improve your life and shit, because my life is still very it's still very messy and shit. But anyway, what was I talking about before we got into the topic of choice paralysis? Oh yeah, we were talking about my video essay, my essay writing contest that I was supposed to join. So I was supposed to join this essay writing contest at school, and during it was like a sort of announced via a Facebook group post on the boomer website that is Facebook. I know it's like a very it's an old site for old people, but there are also some universities that still use Facebook as their main platform for doing all these announcements. 486 videos and only 1.2k subs is crazy. I don't know. Maybe there are some. I know there's some people, like some channels out there that have that I've dealt that were dealt a a worse hand than mine. I think there's I know I've heard of this one channel before on YouTube that used to that's like 15 years old by the time I first saw it in 2016. The channel was around like 15 years old, and the channel only had like had 1,000 subscribers, and his videos were only all about showing off his birds and shit. And the thing that amazed me about this channel was that this channel is freaking 10 years old, and yet the guy, you know, the guy pretty much exists since the birth of YouTube, and yet the guy only had like 1,000 subs. It's, you know, it's pretty crazy and shit. You know, can you imagine just working your ass off on a project only to get the most mediocre of results after all the hard work you put into it? And you know, that channel made me realize that, yo, I don't think people really care about the work you put into a channel. People more so care about the quality of your workload, and whether or not the videos you put out matches the interest of the people. And you see, I guess that's why I'm not really that bothered as to how low my analytics are, in a way, because I mean I get that I shouldn't be I get that, you know, with a channel like mine I should be getting more views technically, but I gotta be real with myself when I you know, present like a video, a Blender time lapse or a video about me talking about coding for 30 minutes. You're not supposed to be expecting large numbers from it, because I don't think a majority of people would come to YouTube just to talk about coding or the fundamentals of JavaScript or something. They're people are mostly here to you know, have fun, you know, listen to some music, see someone play some games, because that's just technically more fun for most people. And that's why I'm not really that, I guess, that shocked to see my low view count or my low subscriber numbers. Because let's be real here, no one's really going to YouTube just to learn how to learn to 3D model and shit. That's that seems like a very obscure topic on its own that shouldn't really cross the mainstream eyes, technically. So yeah, that's not really a concern of mine. And I don't think I plan on changing. I mean, I guess I'm really changing the way I make my videos here from time to time. I mean, my channel used to be about Blender, but now it's all about other stuff that I'm interested in, like coding and making music. But as for the mantra that I've pretty much adapted into this channel, which is just me sharing what I like, that I genuinely like, rather than following the trends. I don't think that would change anytime soon, really. If I'm gonna be posting shit here, it will mostly be something that I like, rather than something that's in line with the trends right now. Because I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like trends right now feel too boring for me, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't fault anyone who is, you know, interested in anything trendy. Like, if you like Taylor Swift, sure, you can go right ahead. Or if you like, you know, if you like learning about the latest gaming news, I don't really fault you on that. But as for me, I just find a deeper appreciation to people who just share the most obscure of topics onto the internet and just get people who are otherwise not in the circle of said obscure topic interested in said obscure topic. That's why I sort of have some deep respect with people who you know, who share some stuff that I probably would have heard of before, like indie web development, or sharing about, you know, Linux distros and shit. And right now, my latest interests that doesn't conform with any mainstream trends right now is people sharing their ideas of how a music software should be designed and stuff. I'm mostly talking about Tentacle when I say that. I like the code too, Python. Hey, I used to learn about Python, but I think now I'm in the field of learning more about JavaScript, since I'm now into the community of NeoCities and indie web development. But hey, Python's also a pretty good tool if you want to learn more about making Blender add-ons. But anyway, yeah, I pretty much have interests in people who would say the most out there topics and somehow find a way to get people interested in that topic. And right now, I think a good example of that, of a YouTuber who's doing exactly that, is Tentacruel. Tentacruel is this one, I guess, big YouTuber with, I think, 400,000 subs. So I guess technically a small channel, but with the amount of small channels I've been watching right now, I think he's one of the bigger fishes in the sea right now. But anyway, Tentacruel is more so a YouTuber that's more so focused on making video essays about music softwares and how people usually design them. He made a video on Finale recently, a music notation software. Correct me if I'm wrong. He made like a video on a music notation software like called Finale, and how it's so janky and so 80s and shit. And it's you know, I don't really have experience in even reading music notation, but this video on Finale got me really interested in learning more about how to read music sheets other than from reading it from a DAW perspective. Also using Linux Ubuntu, but I haven't explored it that much, just used the browser mostly. Oh, Linux, an Ubuntu user. Are you using Ubuntu right now? I have some questions in regards to Linux, by the way. If you don't mind me asking, have you ever have experience with using Linux in is Linux I need to frame my question here really carefully here. Wow. Oh, you're using Ubuntu right now. Okay. But my main question right now is that are there any Linux any programs or apps in Linux that how do they say this? Do you have any experience in in what's like to use any VTuber software in Linux? um, as someone who portrays himself as a wizard in the internet, the one thing that's holding me back from using Linux is the fact that I don't know if my VTubing software could work well with Linux, because my freaking the wizard that you see in most of my videos is pretty much my brand right now. So trying to abandon that aspect of mine feels like a deal breaker for me when it comes to switching from Windows to Linux. So I don't know if Linux could really help me deal with that sort of problem right now of mine. But hey, if you don't have any experience, that's fine with me. I mean, it's a pretty obscure problem that most Linux users would probably have to deal with, because I think most Linux users aren't technically VTubers for once. But that's the one thing that's the one question I wanna explore before I move to Linux, really. But hey, I'm happy that you use Ubuntu. Ubuntu is like one of those beginner-friendly Linux distros, right? Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, I was talking about freaking Tentacruel and his freaking videos on software design, specifically music software design, and it really got me interested in learning more about musical notation and stuff, aka standard notation, because he also did a video essay on how we should read music. Huh. Yeah, I pretty much expect that answer from you. Yeah, because I'm really dealing with a very specific problem right now when it comes to exporting, from moving my apps from one OS to another. But yeah, I guess that's one reason. That's the one reason that I'm not getting into Linux right now. But anyway, Ubuntu is beginner friendly. That's why I switch. Hey, okay. I'm guessing the process is very easy, right? Considering that it's pretty much somehow functions like Windows in a way, but much less assholey. Oh my god. Yeah, the more I watch Linux videos, the more I'm really tempted to get into Linux, but I know that if I do, I'm gonna have I have to change my workflow in a way. Anyway, for now, I'm a crappy little Windows coward here. Just admiring the paradise from the other side. Anyway, I wanna step out from Linux because I'm feeling so... I'm getting so jealous of you, the people who are into Linux, not having to deal with all these pop-ups of Candy Crush and freaking Windows always telling me to update my laptop every now and then. What the fuck, Windows? But anyway. Shit, I'm already lost with what I'm supposed to be talking about right now. I'm switching between Linux and talking about music software here. Woo! Alright, let me just quickly move mix all these freaking colors here. And I think, hold on, let me just quickly analyze the audio of my freaking live stream right now, because I feel like it's some background shit is being picked up by my microphone. Alright, things are doing well so far. What do you find interesting about Linux, like as a creator or coder, everything else you do? What I find, you asking about what I find interesting about Linux? I guess I find interesting as, I guess, a software that just does what you want it to do. Without having to deal with all of the Windows bullshit that you usually expect from Windows. Like, for example, when I open my freaking start screen right now, I'm gonna get some. Oh wait. But yeah, I'm getting some freaking pre-installed apps that I never asked for, like Spotify or Xbox. And I'm now noticing that my computer has Microsoft Clipchamp. What even is that? Like, there's too much bloat here, you know. And then, you know, what I like from, you know, the videos talking about Linux is that Linux is just a much more efficient software, in my opinion. And that's why I wanted to move from Windows to Linux. And I feel like with Windows, I think it's slowly killing my computer, if I'm gonna be honest with you guys, because every time I open up a big, I mean, even if I'm not, you know, opening any apps, I can still hear my computer chugging out its fan in the background. And when I, you know, try to analyze, you know, where it's coming from, it's really coming from, I guess, the operating system itself. Because there's just too much bloat, you know? Too much bloat and shit. And I thought that maybe Linux, and you know, judging from people's reviews of Linux, I'm thinking that maybe Linux could solve me that problem by giving me a more lightweight operating system to work with, rather than with Windows. Windows freaking sucks when it comes to dealing with bloat. But I know if I'm gonna be switching to Linux, things are gonna get pretty hectic, I guess, because I had to change my entire workflow in a way. Not only for my channel, but also for my university work, where it's sometimes required for me to use a specific app that doesn't have a Linux version to it. That's why I haven't really been switching to it. I haven't switched to it yet, in a way. Although maybe I should probably try to test out the waters with the virtual machine. What do you think? Should I just use a virtual machine first to see whether or not Linux is like the best fit for me? I heard of virtual machines before. It's kind of like a... It's kind of like, what's it called? A emulator for DS games, but instead of emulating games, it tries to emulate another computer running a different operating system, right? Maybe I should try to run Linux in a virtual machine and see if if Linux is really the best fit for me. Anyway, let's get off topic for Linux, because I feel like I'm just saying some bullshit right now. That might offend a Linux user. Not gonna... I'm not trying to make enemies here, but I'm just saying that, you know, Linux Linux does have like a massive learning curve for me to get started with it. Anyway. Let me just quickly move this around here. By the way, I don't want this rant to be a discouragement for people to not use Linux because, as I said before, the problems I have with Linux is very specific to my workflow, which is the fact that I'm a VTuber that, you know, does a lot of these animations and shit in the background. But for, you know, for someone who just wants to, you know, use a operating system casually, I think Linux could be a good fit for most people. And hey, I heard Gabe is making gaming on Linux much better with some, I remember forgetting what's the how he did it, but yeah, you know, Gabe is just doing shit on Steam that's make it more compatible with gaming on Linux. I don't want to discourage anyone from switching to a better operating system than Windows. Which is why if you're just a casual computer user, you know, you can just, I think it's best for you to just switch to Linux. if you're not really using that much apps to begin with. But for me, I have to deal with other stuff. Not only creative software, but also some dental CAD software that probably doesn't have any idea that Linux even exists, you know? Okay, so I guess it's now time for me to work on let me quickly make there we go. Put my keyboard cursor there, and then make a switch to need my cowboy palette here. There we go. Alright, let's make on the cowboy here. Anyways, move away from the topic of Linux, the Linux subject. Because as you can see, I'm not really an avid user of Linux, so why should I be talking about the features behind Linux? Let's talk about cowboys for once, since I'm now painting a cowboy in the background. I finally watched an old Western movie called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly by Sergio Leone, as well as some other films that has been in my backlog lately called this one called Hundreds of Beavers. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. It's like a 2023 or 2022 film, or 2024, early 2024 film. That's like the funniest movie I've ever watched. Just think of it like a YouTube poop, but made for the Cannes Film Festival of all places. It's just a very funny YouTube poop type of film that you could just watch with your family and they'll be laughing their asses off in the couch. But that's Hundreds of Beavers. I want to talk about freaking The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, because I think this is my first ever Western style cowboy western. What do you call this freaking genre? Like a cowboy western film that I've ever watched. I guess that technically the first cowboy movie I've ever watched is technically Rango. This this Nickelodeon movie that was released. The frick was that? Hello? Huh? What is that? What the fuck? what are you doing? Anyway, I'm gonna get rid of all these freaking strokes here. Anyway, so yeah, I recently watched this cowboy movie, Good and the Bad and the Ugly. Technically my first, but I guess if you're talking about cowboy movies in general, I think my first ever movie was Rango on that type of genre. But I watched The Good and the Bad and the Ugly, and I thought it was a pretty it was a pretty fun film to watch. Just seeing Clint Eastwood be a badass for 2 hours straight, while this I forgot the name of the actor, but this little ugly fella trying his best to outwit Clint Eastwood, only to fail in the end. Well, let me quickly make a... There we go. I'm gonna get rid of all of this. Okay. Thunder, why are you wonking out on me right now? Wait, is it still doing it even if I... Oh my god, it's still doing it. Wait, what is this? Alt H. What the crap is that? Hold on. Okay, what if I just select this and then I start painting? Nope, it's still doing it. Why is it doing it? Why is it... What the fuck, Blender? Wait. Fuck, I just have to paint all of this. Wait, let me... Okay, it doesn't work if I'm not stroking anything, but it only appears when I do this. Why is it doing that? Blender, why are you wonk? What's happening right now? Not supposed to be doing that. Oh, this is a specific frame, right? It's this one. It's this frame here. No, not that. This is smear frame. This... I think this is the one, right? Huh. Is there some keying issue happening right now? Or am I just... insane? The problem right now is that for some reason Blender is whenever I start to stroke, this frame starts to appear. Why is that happening, Blender? Alt H. No. Alt H. No. Alt H. No. Where is this coming from? It's gotta be coming from here, because when I hide this layer, it starts to not show anymore. Fuck it, I'll just work with the jank and just hide the layer. I mean, I know I guess that's the one obvious solution to this. Excuse me, what? Huh? What? Wait. Oh, there we go. Okay, why is it not showing off now? Is there a... Oh, I see. It's you who has a problem. Now wait, how does this look like if I just do all of this? It's you who has the problem, but how are you making... How are you appearing even if I'm not... There's no freaking layer here. Anyway, I don't need you. I'll just hide this layer right here. Okay. God damn it, this things like, you know, I recently been looking at videos published by Tentacle on music software design, and it really made me reflect on how Blender is really designed overall. And as much as I like using Blender, I gotta admit though, the freaking idea, whose idea was it to put everything into one app? You know, all this freaking layout and modeling tools, sculpting tools, texture painting and shit. Like, whose idea was it to put all of this into one specific app? I mean, I don't really mind it at all anymore, but I came to realize that for beginner users, the amount of features in Blender could be very daunting to a first-time user. And even up to now, I still have some questions as to how this freaking software works and shit. So, what the fuck, Blender? Blender really does need to, like, somehow find a way to make this more approachable to beginners, because I don't think this could really pass. Like, I feel like this, you know, this whole entire UI is the prime example as to why people like my dental materials professor has no idea how CAD/CAM works. Because their first impression of freaking the softwares behind the tools that we use just looks like this, a freaking jumbled mess of buttons and widgets and and weird logos that you can barely tell what's supposed to represent. That's why, you know, I used to sort of ridicule Mesh Mixture for its simple user interface and how it does like 1/8 of the job that Blender does. But now that I'm reflecting on, you know, people's idea of what an ideal software design should be, I think, you know, I think there's a reason why my mentor, a doctor, my mentor for CAD/CAM uses Mesh Mixer rather than something like Blender. Or why my dad, who wants to get into CAD/CAM, still thinks Mesh Mixer is ideal for his job, despite the fact that it's more primitive compared to Blender. It's the idea that they present the tools in a very simple manner that any dentist can get into. Like with Blender sucks. Blender sucks in getting people to jump into their platform. Oh, anyway. Neon backpack. Now, since I'm in the topic of coloring here, I got this one comment from my classmate this earlier this morning. It was like just a very normal day. I had my exam this morning, and after the exam, you know, my classmate came up to me and he told me, "Yo, Morgan." I gotta say though, I really identify that you were in the class right now because of that neon backpack that you've been wearing to school. And I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, you have this very neon backpack. It looks pretty nice. Could look really well with a neon shirt and a neon freaking water bottle of yours. And I started reflecting on that comment, and I came to realize that, you know what, I have a very colorful wardrobe now that I think about it. from the clothes I casually wear to even the accessories I bring to school, like my backpack or even my head cap. The head cap that I use to do all of my lab work, because whenever I attend a lab subject in school, it always requires me to wear a leather head cap to protect my hair from getting exposed to all the materials and chemicals we are using in the lab. And the head cap design I voluntarily chose when I was searching for a head cap online was a head cap with cat heads littered all over its leather, mixed with a colorful dark blue as its background color. And after getting this comment from my classmate, I thought to myself, yeah, I do have a very colorful wardrobe if I think about it. I mean, heck, look at me right now. I'm wearing a freaking red robe of all things, mixed with the Shrek skin tone. that would happily show to my subscribers of the Vanilla Log, even though it's not really the most conventional way to show yourself online. I just like, bright colors, bright, vibrant colors. Why would you want something that's boring and not show offy, Because with with boring colors of black or even some shades of blue, it doesn't really evoke a personality, in my opinion. Compared to, say, if you wear something as simple as an orange shirt, it makes people think, yo, this guy is, loud. This guy is something else, or maybe green. Green could, and I'm not talking about just some dull green. I'm talking about some very bright greens. Green could, could be like a color that you can wear, that you can present, yo, this guy can probably knows what he's talking about, or yo, this guy could be quiet, but he does have some personality. It's what green to me usually represents. And red, red. I heard of red. Red I think is my favorite color. Aside from green, Green, I think, is green is basically just blue with some it's just blue with more style and finesse to it, you know. But red is like is something you wear if you really wanna evoke to people that hey, you have some power over people. Not saying that I have power over people, but it does have this sort of level of intimidation to it that not all colors have. Which is why whenever I want to wear blue, whenever I want to wear red, I mostly do it just to troll people. Because I know it's like a very intimidating color. And, you know, if I want to just fake it till you make it, like for example, if I want to do a presentation that I have no knowledge about, I'll just wear red. And wear red would just signify that you have some confidence in you that people are not really aware of, in a way. I guess people should learn more about what colors what colors communicate to a person, because they do have some effect to your brain. When I was looking into how colors affect people's behavior towards you, especially on colors that you wear to occasions like on school or to business stuff. And people should not just you know should not just resort to black or blue or browns and shit. I don't know, I guess brown is like the most stylish of the bland colors, but still you do need to sort of amp up your style when you deal with colors. Alright, let me make a new frame here. Oh my god. There's also another thing about colors, and I think about it from time to time. I usually, you know, meet with people who, you know, I haven't seen for the longest time, and they would usually sometimes come up to me and say, "Yo, Morgan, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while." And I would go, "Oh, hi. Who are you again?" And the person would be like, "Yo, Morgan, you remember me? I'm from your freaking class from 2 semesters before. Don't you remember me? I'm the guy who, you know, always you know, talks to you and shit." I mean, I guess. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess I do remember you, but frick, you. Because whenever I try to remember people, I don't remember them. I guess like the first signifier to me as to how I can remember people is through the way they look, you know. And I'm not talking about race or anything. I'm just talking about just how they style their clothing and shit. That's, I guess, like the first signifier to me when it comes to how I would remember people. And then after that, it would be, you know, the way they speak, the way they interact with me, and the way they behave. That's the second thing. But of course, the first impression is always how they look, how they dress themselves, how they I guess apply makeup if you're a girl. So whenever I look at I find people that I haven't met before come back to greet me. Whenever I'm just, you know, walking around and commuting, I always cannot like get an initial read from them, because most people are just compelled to just wear black or white, not white, but gray or brown or some dark blue. And it's like, dude, this ain't something. These colors mean nothing to me because all people wear these clothes. Do you have like, some sort of language to, some visual language that I can put in the back of my mind so I can remember you a little bit earlier from now on? But then he would start talking about what we did before, and I'm like, okay, now I remembered you. But still, people should look more into how they could be more like a JoJo character in a way. Yeah, people should so I guess just dress more like JoJo characters, because JoJo characters have style, and I can still remember even the most obscurest of people. Like, do you remember that one guy in part 5 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that was shaped like a pineapple? Who is it? It was his name was he was with that one stand with who makes people old in the train, and I thought that was a very interesting style. And even if I don't remember the name, I can still remember how important he was in the arc. Just through his own visual languages that he conveys through his look. And that's what I like from JoJo, and I guess the next to extent to what I like to see from people who I'm going to be meeting after a long period of time. Is some style to them. And if you're gonna be conforming to to basic colors like dark blue or gray or black, at least play around with the shape of your clothes. And by shape I don't mean you dress up like some kind of, like how Michael Jackson's dresses like a walking guitar pick in his music video on Thriller. I'm just talking about just tuck in your shirt, or maybe loosen up your dress a bit, or anything that makes it a little more unconventional to the eye but still appealing to it. To me, those are the best. Those are the people that I remember the most, and freaking that's how you get people to remember you. That's all I'm saying. And I'm talking about just women, I'm talking about men as well. Men, you need to freaking swagger up, you need to freaking rearrange your wardrobe, get some colorful clothes and shit. Because that to me is how you really that's how you really feel. That's how you really make a statement. If you want to feel like this quote unquote alpha males on the freaking internet, and be the jack gym rat that most people portray themselves to be on the internet, you should probably invest on getting some more colorful wardrobes. Because what's better than a man with style, Anyway, I'm gonna turn on the freaking lights of my freaking room because it's getting a little bit dark here. And also, it's gonna rain outside. What the frick? It's a cloudy 6 p.m. day today. Hold on, I'm just gonna freaking turn on my lights. I'll get back to work. Alright, let's do it. I gotta say though, if you're gonna try out any color for the first time, I suggest you try not to use yellow. Yellow, I think, feels like the most difficult color to work with in terms of applying it to a specific style that you want to build. Because my mom once asked me to give her my favorite colors because he was like buying a bunch of polos for me, and I thought to myself, yo, maybe I should just go bold and try out yellow for the first time because I look at my wardrobe. I got reds, I got blues, I got greens. I don't have yellow, so I thought, okay, maybe I can use yellow. And of course, I also have pink as well. I know it's not the most manliest colors, but you know, if you can somehow work around it, pink could be a good fashion statement to a guy. But I decided, yo, maybe I should try yellow for the first time as a color for my polo. So I told my mom, yo, I want to try this yellow polo. Can you please buy it for me? And she's like, sure, okay, we can try this yellow polo. So he brought it to me. I wore it for the first time with with some blue jeans and black shoes. I should probably also color up my shoes at some point. But yeah, I do have some black shoes, blue jeans, and the yellow polo that she recently brought me. And I looked at myself and I thought, wait a minute, am I just Charlie Brown? Because I'm looking at the blue jeans, my black shoes, my freaking messy hairstyle, and I think to myself, damn, I really do look like Charlie Brown. If I mess up my hair a little bit more and I put some blue accents to my polo, I would evolve into Big Nate if I were to you know, just manipulate my style in a little bit. So that's why I'm not really a big fan of yellow in a way. I like my greens, I like my reds, but not yellow. Yellow seems to be a very wild card color to me. So yeah, freaking yellow is just, it's like the troll face of colors, in my opinion. You don't go to a person wearing yellow and think, yo, this guy looks swag. Aside from maybe, I don't know, there was who's the actress from La La Land? She wore a yellow dress in some scenes there, right? And I thought that she would look nice. She looked pretty. She looked beautiful. What's the name of the actress again? Because I'm getting a little bit tired not knowing these names. La La Land actress. What's it again? Who are you? Who's this again? Emma Stone. Yeah, Emma Stone. Emma Stone's wardrobe in La La Land was pretty out of this world, in my opinion. And in case you haven't watched La La Land, go watch it if you are a big fan of musicals. In a way, it's a musical movie, but the way I would say the musical score for this movie isn't as great as one might think, but it's still a pretty good movie in my opinion. It has a very good story, a well-rounded cast, and excellent camera work by the crew behind it. And also the set design is also pretty memorable in my opinion, especially that one scene where they are dancing around a lamppost with a backdrop of, was it Los Angeles or Hollywood, was it? That was a pretty memorable set design for me, just because of how it looks very artificial yet so 1920s inspired by, you know, all of those sets that you see in the silent films, where it feels like a stage production than something that tries to mimic real life. Go watch La La Land. I think it's available in Netflix in my country. Not sure with you guys, other country. But La La Land is a pretty top tier movie for me. I kinda wanna watch it again with my family at some point. I don't know if they've watched La La Land before. I like my musical movies to a degree. um, I did like that Steven Spielberg musical movie adaptation of, what was it called again? It was I'm forgetting the name of the movie, but it's about this Mexican. It's about this war between the civil war between the Mexican and the white race in the Bronx of New York. I forget the freaking. It's like Once Upon a Time in something. I don't know. But yeah, it's I didn't like that film because I mean I like the story that they're trying to portray, but the musical score wasn't as memorable as I would want it to be. West Side Story. It's called West Side Story. That's why I finally figured out the name of the freaking film. But yeah, I didn't really think the musical score in that was memorable, even though I really liked the simple approach to its storytelling. The musical score was just not that entertaining to me. Okay. Alright, let me just start painting this. And then that, freaking musicals, go watch it if you could. Anyway, I'm gonna, oh, that's the wrong one. Alright. Probably talk more about musical movie reviews when I do my next Visual Studio Code stream, because I do want to update my media review section of my website. Oh wait, it's the wrong place to put it. Here, this one. Other than that, I guess I have nothing else to talk about. Frick. I always come to these chatting streams thinking that I have 3 hours worth of things to talk about to fill up the time. But now I'm really in the dead end here. Well, I haven't been streaming, by the way. 2 hours, okay. Anyway, I can see that you guys are flooding the chat right now. Are you guys also here just to see me talk, or you're here to see me do some grease pencil shenanigans? Anyway, if you guys are new, are recently getting into this stream, here is the current results of my work here as of now. I made this little animation using grease pencil, which I've traced using 3D models that you can't see right now. Over here, yeah. So what I did was I pretty much animated these 3D models to move as I wanted to. Then I superimpose a grease pencil object onto them so that it can copy the movements of my 3D model. I know that I can just, you know, use line art modifier, but the line art modifier to me just feels too unpredictable in the way they lay out the grease pencil, and plus it doesn't feel that much natural when I see the strokes created by the line art modifier. So I'm only going to be using my own strokes instead of relying on my computer to do all the work. Anyway, I feel like it's just not that fun or fulfilling to me if I were to just heavily rely on my computer to do all the work for me. So I'm gonna be doing all of this by hand. when it comes to doing the grease pencil stuff. That includes doing the coloring as well. Oh boy. Okay, so we got that. Let's get some green here. I love my greens. Some greens. Get some blues. Okay, going back to my topic on dental related stuff like CAD CAM. What is that? Does that make sense? Wait. I realized that there's a missing stroke here. Hold on. Let me quickly switch the material here to my stroke material. Put it to black and just make a simple stroke right here. I'll make it a little wider. There we go. Okay. Anyway, going back to my topic on dentistry stuff. I was given the privilege of observing an oral surgery in a dental clinic in real time. I was invited by my dad to observe a patient experiencing oral surgery for the first time, because he was the one in charge of the whole operation with a bunch of dental assistants and anesthesiologists by his side. And what he I gotta say that the learning about the oral surgery process was very interesting to me, in my opinion. Because, you know, when you think about oral surgery, you don't really think about the use of the computer in any of the steps in the procedure. But with how, you know, developments have occurred in the past few years, oral surgery has evolved to a point that we can now use, you know, different technologies to operate on a patient on things like, you know, installing an implant or doing a bone grafting procedure wherein we voluntarily add bone to the patient's jaw so that there could be a better foundation for the implant to stick to the patient's oral cavity. So one of the technologies that my dad incorporated in this entire oral surgery procedure was with the use of this sort of camera. It was a very bulky camera, but it can still be held by a dental assistant. It was a camera that would only shoot its pictures from outside the oral cavity, but when it finally takes a picture, it would show us an X-ray of the patient's teeth via, I'm not getting via a periapical view of the patient's teeth. I find it very interesting because he's using all these. He's using this computer attached to this TV in the center, in one wall of the surgery room, and in the computer was a software that could track the patient's X-ray according to the teeth that we are trying to analyze. And this software is somehow hooked up to this camera that could somehow take an X-ray from outside of the patient's teeth. I mean, I guess that's technically what X-rays are. They're not really an invasive procedure, but still, it's interesting that this camera can just, you know, just aim at a general part of the mouth, not even like a specific part of the mouth, and somehow give you the X-ray of a specific teeth and somehow crop out everything else that's near the teeth. You know, if it's, for example, if you only want an X-ray of the first molar of your maxilla, of the left side of your maxilla, the software would just, you know, take a picture of that X-ray and just crop out any other teeth that's being shown on the X-ray. And you know, it's very interesting. I don't even know how to describe it. It's so advanced to me. And not only that, does he have this software that helps him with, you know, doing X-rays, he also has this freaking centrifuge of all places to make the bone graft. I didn't even know this was a thing that exists in oral surgery, but it turns out I think you are allowed as a dentist alongside other professionals in the surgery room to extract blood from your patient, like some sort of vampire, but you know, instead of teeth, you're gonna use like some, you know, specific needle that would draw out the blood from the patient, and the blood will be inserted into the freaking centrifuge machine to separate the red blood cells from the plasma, because the only thing we actually want from the blood is the plasma, which will be used as, I guess, the sort of sticky compound to the bone graft that he is going to be making. And the bone graft is made up of. So I was also asking my dad about this, and I asked him, "Yo, Dad, where did you get this the bone graft material? Did you take it from a patient's bone or something? Did you instruct another medical professional to give you this specific bone from the patient?" And you know, because I've only heard of allografts before, wherein you get bone from you get extra bone from the source itself, the patient itself. And my dad said, no, that's, you call it an allograft. What we're doing here is what the bone graft that we are using here is what's called a I'm I'm slowly forgetting what he said, but he said it's a Zen graft. I'm like, oh, a Zen graft? Like, what's that supposed to mean? So I searched it up online, speaking of what he meant when he said Zen graft, and turns out Zen graft just means a graft of a bone that came from another animal, like a pig. And I'm like, oh, what? No, don't take my word for this. What he actually said. I think it was Zen graft that he said. It could be just a brand that he said, but technically, what he's from my interpretation of what he said, the bone graft that he's using came from another animal, I must say, and this animal, surprisingly, is biocompatible with human tissues, meaning that it won't, you know, really trigger the immune system to destroy it and therefore spit it out of our body in a way. So, you know, it's kind of interesting seeing my dad put the blood in the centrifuge machine to separate the plasma from the blood, and he used the freaking plasma to mix it with the delivered Zen graft to turn it into sticky bone that he will use to insert into the patient to add more bone into the jaw. It's so great. It's so interesting, I must say. gives me insight as to how important my freaking classes in organic and inorganic chemistry really are, because the first time I've heard of centrifuges was through some vague comments about it in my zoology and organic chemistry classes. And maybe in microbiology classes, wherein I first assumed that they have nothing to do really with the practical sides of dentistry, but here we are. Here I am in a freaking oral surgery room wherein it is their job to use a centrifuge to make a bone graft for a patient. And I'm like, what? And for these centrifuges, I was like, yo, so this is how they freaking separate blood from the plasma. That's how they do it. And also, what also shocked me during this procedure was that my dad was using 2 centrifuges instead of 1. And like, Dad, why are you using 2 centrifuges? And my dad was like, no. My dad was like, the reason why I'm using 2 centrifuges instead of 1, I don't know, I just like to do it. And I'm like, what? Oh, this guy, my dad's just flexing on his freaking stuff. The reason why he only has 2 centrifuges just because he can. Like, that's like the most discreet of flexes of all time. To have 2 centrifugal machines just because he can. I mean, technically he did explain to me that the reason why he has 2 centrifuges is just to speed up the process of mixing these blood to separate the compounds inside it. But still, it's kind of like a freaking flex for him to have 2 centrifuges in his oral surgery room. It really is interesting. Yeah, dude. If you are into freaking, if you want to get your son or your daughter into the medical sciences, into the allied health sciences, you just tell them about this one freaking story I told you here, and they might be interested in getting into dentistry or something. Not that I would say that college is in par with how interesting my dad is. Because my college, I don't know if it's just the fault of the curriculum, but for some reason my college is just so way behind the things that they're introducing right now in the modern era of dentistry. Like my dad, and even to extent my mom, is introducing me to things like computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing in the context of dentistry, as well as I'm 17. Hey, dude, if you don't have a son, maybe you'll have a son in the future. Why not? But anyway, modern dentistry has just improved so much. We have all these new technologies, optical scanners for, scanning the patient's teeth, CT, X-rays for making 3D X-rays of a patient's bone. We also have all these other softwares that helps us in making making all of these dental products for our field. Like even Blender is even being used in some scenarios. Have you ever heard of Blender for Dental? It's like I would say an add-on to Blender where it turns this entire janky little freaking 3D modeling software into something that can be used in dentistry. And by my first impressions of it, it really feels like a worthy competitor to things like to famous CAD/CAM softwares in dentistry like Exocad or Trios or MeditLink. It still has like the Blender jankiness to it that everyone loves, but as someone who is a avid Blender user, I feel like I can make stuff with that specific add-on in a way. And it's much cheaper actually compared to other CAD/CAM softwares, and wherein they result in a subscription service type of way of paying stuff for their services, which I dislike a lot. But anyway, back to my freaking college. My college has no clue about the modern ongoings of dentistry right now. We're still stuck with talking about things like modeling plastic, which is like an impression material that no one in my family even uses. Like my family is like a family of dentists, and even they don't really understand why we are still playing around with modeling plastic when we have better impression materials like alginate, or yeah, basically just use alginate. Alginate is just a better impression material than modeling plastic and stuff like that. And if you're in the CAD/CAM side of things, you don't even need to use impression material because we can just use an optical scanner to make a 3D model of your patient's teeth. But no, our freaking college is just still way behind in terms of what's happening around us. Just take for example, even like my dental materials professor, who had no clue what we were talking about when I talked about 3D printing resin. I know, I thought he could be into. He would have at least some idea, at least with, you know, what's 3D printing resin being used for general purposes, like, you know, making like that the default mesh mixer bunny for making the for 3D printing, like that default mesh mixer bunny or something like that. I've been related to dentistry, but no, he's my dental materials professor has no clue what this 3D printing resin really is. I know, I guess it really sucks that we still need to learn about the history behind dentistry in a way. But I get why that's the case. It could be a case of how the laws made it so that we have to learn about these outdated things. But still, I think we should at least expose students to these newfound ideas in a way. Because right now, the only way a student would learn about CAD/CAM, if they are going to be starting out, is through these seminars that, to me specifically, don't really appeal that much to a first time newbie to CAD/CAM. Because, you know, when it comes to students, to dental students, they don't want to, you know, really spend that much money to learn more about stuff that may be useful in their field, because the equipment that we use in our schools are already expensive in itself. So telling a student to pay for a seminar to learn more about this actual useful thing is really not gonna appeal to them. So I guess teachers and maybe even universities should somehow find a way for dental CAD to be taught in their schools in a free and accessible manner, rather than heavily relying on these freaking seminars to be their only source of getting into these new technologies in dentistry. When I have this freaking... Sorry guys, I just had to look at a freaking notification from my classmate here from my messenger app. Oh, sheesh. Now, speaking of my classmates, I had this very funny freaking. I had this funny discussion with my classmate because he was no, we were doing a bunch of guy talk in my class. And it was after my freaking oral presentation, coincidentally, that we started talking about shit. Because he was like my group member for this for my oral presentation on 3D printing resin. And during our experience as as presenters of this presentation, we got to learn a little bit more about ourselves, and it came to a point wherein we started talking about freaking, out of all things, we had to talk about girls for some reason. To me personally, I don't really have any crushes or any relationship plans as of the moment. I used to have with a bunch of classmates of mine from my old school, but right now I'm not really in the market right now for dating people. But my dad, my freaking my freaking classmate was so funny. He had to like point out all of the crushes he had in this specific class of ours. Should I call him out? I don't think I should call him out. Okay, I'll not say his name, but I'm gonna call out what who his crushes are, in a way. My God, this guy started talking about how he has a crush on this one person who has a different religion from his, because he's a Roman Catholic, and this other person, I think she was Muslim, I think. I'm not sure. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she was Muslim, I think. And my freaking classmates started crushing on, like, talking about what she admires about her, like from his looks to her personality. I can tell that he's more so a personality type of guy. He won't really date people that purely based on looks. He really understands that that to him the deal breaker is really just the woman's personality. And I appreciate him for that opinion on how he dates. But still, I don't know if I should be, if I really want to talk about girls at that moment. So I was like, yo, dude, you do know that he's she's from another religion. Are you fine with that? And he's like, yeah, sure. By the way, I'm not saying that people from different religions shouldn't date each other. I'm just saying that as someone who, because like the general stereotype for most Asian parents is that if you're gonna be dating someone, you might as well date someone from the same religion, or else there'll be some problems with the family and shit. But yeah, I pretty much brought up that issue with him, and he was like, yo, dude, if the religious issues will come up, I'm gonna be switching to another religion. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna switch to her religion, My religion, no, not like, I'm not gonna switch to her religion. My religion would be her. I'm like, yo, damn, dude, what the fuck? Oh my God, this guy really knows how to rizz people up. Like, sheesh, dude, this guy knows how to play his game. I didn't know your game, man. Until you brought up your game. You brought up your ball game with me. Yeah, dude, he was like Muslim, yeah. But yeah, sorry, I didn't want to bring the religious topic to this discussion, but the guy was the writing was on the wall when it comes to these, especially in Asian countries. The topic of religion does sometimes come up to mind. um, but yeah, that does happen. But I really like how this guy is playing ball with me. Yeah, that was smooth, dude. Wow. Anyway, you know, this discussion really made me realize that if you have nothing else to talk about, if you're a guy and you're trying to talk with another guy, you can just talk about girls, and that's pretty much the safest bet you can get into when you're trying to hang out with the boys. Another thing that happened to me when I was hanging out with the boys in my class is one time I was just, you know, I was creating like a denture base as a requirement for my class, and one of my classmates decided to poke me in the back and said, "Yo, Morgan, check this out." I look at he showed me the screen of his phone, and I said to him, "Yo, is this a group chat?" And he's like, "Yeah, I go to the group chat. We're calling it Definitely Straight. It's called Definitely Straight. Do you want to join this group chat so they can, you know, look into what we've been discussing out behind the scenes?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not? I'll go into the freaking. I want to join this discussion. I want to hang out with the boys because, you know, I don't really hang out a lot that often. So, being given this invitation was like so exciting for me. So I got this Telegram link to their freaking group chat, and you know, I opened it up. I told Telegram that I want to join, and the first thing I see, you know what's the first thing I see? What I saw was a naked guy showing his pubes right in front of the camera. And I was so taken aback by it that I had to like switch off my phone. I'm like, shit, dude, is this really how? I guess that's how guys function. They just share porn, right? Like people just share porn commonly in the group chat, right? You know, just you know, people always, you know what's common? You get like just 4 guys coming together and saying, "You know what, guys? I'm excited to have our monthly porn talk in the forums when we get back home." And people are going like, "Yeah," you know. And so I was just so taken aback by this one experience of this guy sharing me a group chat filled with porn. And you know, it's not only him. There were also a bunch of guys who were in the group chat that got me so got me questioning about the mentality of these group chatters. Because it's like another level to be sharing porn with the bros, you know. It's so weird, I guess. But hey, I guess boys would be boys, I guess. I don't know if that's the right mindset to carry in this discussion, but hey, you know, boys should be boys, I guess. God, how do I even move on from this topic? Anyway, I guess the one lesson that you can take away from this one specific part of my stream is that my classmates can be weird sometimes. I don't even know what they do behind the scenes. I don't hang out with them that often outside of class. But whenever I get sneak peeks as to what they do, it's always some wild story that happened in some bar or something. I'm like, I don't even know if there are any clubs around Manila, but it was through my interactions with them that I figured out that hey, they do have clubs here in the Philippines. Like I thought that they phased out like clubs and shit long ago, but I guess there are some still here in the national capital region. Anyway, that's some guy talk for now. Sorry for the girls who are watching the stream. Suddenly being introduced to the porn talk with the bros, but you know, hey, that's just guy talk, guys. Women or girl, I don't know how to pronounce the other gender without offending them, but I'll just say women for now. Women is just how guys talk. I really don't know how else to put it. If you have a boyfriend, chances are they might have like a hidden group chat filled with porn in their phone. Not sure where, not sure how. It's just there, you know. Anyway, let's make another frame here. Whew. Oh yeah, speaking of things that people are not gonna get into, I finally got a bunch of money from a gig that I'm working on behind the scenes, and I thought to myself, hey, I finally got all this money, I should probably go visit a movie by myself for the first time. I mean, I guess this ain't the first time I've watched a movie by myself. Technically, my first ever movie I watched by myself was when I watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But other than that, most of the time I'm mostly hanging out with friends and families whenever I go to the theater. So it's a rare occasion for me to just watch a movie by myself. And I was about to watch, you know, I was about to look through. I went to the theater and I looked at the movies that are gonna be showing off on the cinema, and I saw that Sinners was gonna be playing in one of the cinemas. I'm like, yo, I wanna watch that film. I'm gonna watch Half the Bag do a video about that, and they told me that it was one of the few non-IP films that actually made a profit this year. So I thought, yo, I should probably watch that. But then I looked at the time and realized that I was late for an online meeting that I would be having with my classmates, so I pretty much canceled all of my movie plans for that day. But still, I brought up that story to my freaking mom. I told her, hey, I wanna, you know, I was planning on doing this. I'm doing a movie watch along by myself to this movie called Sinners, and you know, I have all the money and I was about to do it. And my mom said, "Oh, why didn't you invite us to watch the movie?" and I was like, well, that's because I didn't know if you're gonna be into watching the, you know, Sinners with me, especially considering that's not an animated film nor a superhero movie. So I didn't know if you are really into these types of movies. And my mom's like, no, I can handle it. I can watch a movie like that with you if you want. And like, oh, okay, that's cool. Because here's the thing with trying to invite people to watch a movie together. Your safest bet is either going to be a superhero film or an animated film made by some of the top film companies right now, like Disney or Warner Bros. or you know, people like that. You don't go ahead and, you know, invite your family over to something like Sinners, the movie, you know, or maybe something like, I don't know, because Mad Max isn't really big in my country, so my first thought would never be to invite them to a movie screening of Furiosa. Because that's just not something that most casual movie watchers would watch, and that's why whenever I feel like I want to watch a movie, I don't really bring it up with my with my family, because I know for a fact they won't really enjoy it as much as I would. um, unless it's a comedy. If it's a comedy, I think I can maybe convince my family to watch with me. Like for example, Hundreds of Beavers. I feel like I could introduce my family to Hundreds of Beavers at some point. It's basically just a Looney Tunes film, in a way. But for movies like Sinners, I don't know if they will be interested in that. Because it feels like something you don't invite other people to. Or Mickey 17. Mickey 17 was also something I want to watch at some point, but because I knew that my family wouldn't be into it, I didn't really had the chance to watch it in theaters. And I wanted to watch the movie so badly, because because you don't know, guys, how rare it is in the Philippines to find a film that's not a Marvel or a Disney film in nowadays, I mean, there are some. We do sometimes get some Filipino movie screenings, but most of the time, the movie catalog for our cinemas here is either gonna be a Marvel movie, a superhero movie, or a Disney animated film, and there's no in between. So when I figured out that they're playing Mickey 17 in the cinemas, I tried to I wanted so badly to watch it in the cinema. So badly, I know it's not like there's like some sort of we have a problem of cinemas closing here in this country, because believe it or not, the Philippines has it's still big on watching stuff in the big screen, because we have malls here that are pretty much larger than the ones in America, in the United States. So the cinema industry here is still pretty much big. The only problem is that the movies that most cinemas chooses for their screenings aren't really the ones that I'm really interested in. So when I get something like Mickey 17 to be showing on cinemas, I'm like, yo, I want to watch that. And also, oh my god, I suddenly realized that Memoir of a Snail was being shown on cinemas right now on this nearby mall near my house. I should probably watch that at some point. Shit, I wanna watch a movie now. Now that I'm remembering the shit that they're showing off in the cinemas right now. My god. Oh. Hey. Yeah, he ran.
It's raining hard.
That's okay. You won't get overheated. Sorry guys, my mom just came in. He's worried about my brother, because usually my little bro would. Oh.
Okay. And how's your finance? Okay, man.
Okay, one.
So tomorrow, face to face again.
Yeah.
Where is Smiley? What's new?
Now lang.
Okay.
Hey guys, my mom just interrupted me again. What is it? Oh yeah, I was talking about freaking cinemas. If you guys wondering what my mom is talking about, he's just worried about my brother. My brother is running right now outside, doing his exercises. He's running exercises around the city. Because usually my brother would just do 5-kilometer runs every now and then just to improve upon his body. And my mom is just worried because he ran?
You're not sure.
I'm not sure. Yeah. And my mom's just worried right now because it just recently rained and he thinks that my brother would be sick. But I know that he'll come back. My brother always comes back to the house. So you know, my brother can. My brother won't be dumb. It's not dumb enough to stop and walk. Stop to take care of illness. He would, you know, go back to the house to, you know, drink some medicine and shit. But anyway, I wanna watch the movies. I wanna watch the movies so much after this. I recently saw that there's a screening for Memoir of a Snail in a nearby cinema of mine, and I want to get into that. It's a stop motion film, if you guys are unaware of what Memoir of a Snail is. I think Chef Rillis Productions called it like his best animated movie of 2024, I think. And I want to watch it right now. You know, it didn't used to be this way, that we get some indie films alongside the big corporate films in the cinemas here in this country. It used to be that it's just Marvel films or Disney films, but now we got some variety, which is much appreciated. Oh, what the? Okay. I guess the only time we get variety in the cinemas is when it's during the end of the year, when the Manila Film Festival opens its doors to screen some Filipino movies here in this country. But aside from that, for the rest of the year, we just get Disney movies and Marvel films. Maybe occasionally some DC stuff, but you know, it's DC, Marvel, there's pretty much the same little fashion superhero film that you're all used to. And then of course did the Minecraft movie. By the way, did I tell you guys that I watched the Minecraft movie? That was so... I gotta say that I'm gonna give you guys my opinion on the Minecraft movie. The Minecraft movie was bland. It was ass, I'd say. Now you might be thinking, oh, Morgan, what are you saying? Why are you saying it's ass? Come on, have you seen the chicken jockey memes and the I am Steve memes? Okay, well, here's the thing. Here's the situation here in the Philippines right now. In the Americans, you get a very loud audience that can help you deal with the shitty plotline of the Minecraft movie. You know, like for example, if someone says chicken jockey in an American cinema, if Steve says a chicken jockey in the American cinema, people would just lose their shit, and that's like the most entertaining thing to experience in the cinema, you know. But in the Philippines, the crowds here can't be any more quieter, I must say. Whenever when the chicken jockey scene came up in the cinema, everyone was just quiet. Like everyone is just so quiet in the cinema when I watched the Minecraft movie for the first time. And I think that the same goes for every other screening of the Minecraft movie here in the Philippines. Like no one's gonna react whenever someone says I am Steve or freaking chicken jockey or the lava chicken song that is already now stuck in my head. People are gonna be well behaved. They're going to sit down, eat their popcorn, and watch quietly as Steve goes ahead and say chicken jockey, as if we can't really see that there's already a chicken jockey right here on screen. and I hate it. I hate it. That's the one thing, you know. I heard of how American cinemas can be very rowdy sometimes when it comes to how they deal with people trashing their cinemas and shit. But I think with the Minecraft movie, it really does require you to have an audience that can really participate with the wackiness that is the Minecraft movie. The Minecraft movie is just, it's supposed to have, it's a meme, and a meme can only be funny if there are other people laughing alongside with you. And the problem with Filipino cinemas is that with Philippine cinemas is that they're just too well behaved, I must say. That you just can't experience the same joy that American gets when someone says when someone sings the lava chicken song, you know. And that's why I think, in my opinion, that the Minecraft movie was shit in the Philippines. In America, though, I can sort of see why people would say it's the best movie of all time. You got the whole crowd cheering and chanting for Steve and Jason Momoa and freaking those two actors, I guess. But the Filipinos, we're too well behaved. We're too well behaved here, which I guess is both an advantage, a benefit, and a detriment to the movie experience here. But anyway, it's a bland movie, I must say. I didn't really like the fact that it was a live action film rather than an animated film. It should have been an animated film. Why isn't the Minecraft movie in the style of, say, the Captain Sparkles music videos? I would have accepted that more than whatever they outputted here in the big screen. And also, why are they trying to make a cinematic universe out of the Minecraft movie? Because they showed Alex in the end credit scene, and the fact that there's even an end credit scene here is boggling my mind, you know. But hey, it's there. The end screen's there. And yeah, I just think the Minecraft movie just felt like a corporate mess, I must say. Something that a corporation would just put out. Didn't feel like it had any. I guess it does have some personality to it. I mean, compared to the Super Mario Brothers movie, this one has more personality than that. But still, it doesn't. It feels like the person who made it is someone who has no idea how, you know, the Minecraft. Actually, no, they do have some idea, because they do have the Technoblade cameo at some point, but it does have the essence of someone who has no idea that Minecraft as a game actually exists. But I do respect the fact that it does acknowledge the wider community of Minecraft. Like, for example, they do have some cameos of some famous Minecraft YouTubers there, like Dan TDM and LD Shadow Lady. I think Afmao was there as well, which I think was so jarring, because I haven't watched Afmao since the My Street days. And you know, because you grew up, you don't really watch any Minecraft shit anymore. And it's only through like through your little sister that you get some updates on how Afmao is. But anyway, yeah, I kind of appreciate the fact that it does acknowledge the wider community of Minecraft in its film, even down to the point that it made its own parody song of Minecraft in a way. But if you're gonna cater to the Minecraft audience, you have to make it animated in a way. Don't stick to this freaking live action crap, live action CGI crap that I'm seeing right now. Because to me, what part of what makes Minecraft is its is its is its is its timely design, its timeless design, you know. Like things like real like movies like the Minecraft movie feels like it could age over time just because of how they stick to making things more realistic, when in actuality what really makes things timeless is movies that try to go for a more stylistic approach. Like for example, Into the Spider-Verse, that still didn't, that's like a 7-year-old movie by this point, and the age is still not showing with that film just because of how stylistic it is. And same goes for films like the Lego Movie. The Lego Movie is already more than 10 years old by now, and yet you can still appreciate the style of the Lego Movie because it's stop motion. Stop motion doesn't really age as much as, say, movies that try to incorporate a realistic style to it. Like, I would say that the Sonic movie would age badly over time. And even like films like, say, the Mario movie, I would say. No, people don't really remember fondly the original Super Mario Brothers movie from the 80s. Like, if people are gonna bring that up, it's gonna be through memes and shit that make fun of how bad the Goombas are in that film. Alright, let me just quickly make a new layer here. And then yeah, just stop making all of these CGI IP movies based on video games, because I don't think that really works that well. Although maybe unless if it's based on a game that really does incorporate a realistic style to it, like I can sort of see a Silent Hill movie working well with this type of style, I guess. Although we did experience a Silent Hill movie before and it was shit, I think. Although I think that's more so a problem with the writing than with its design. Same thing with Resident Evil. Like, why is it that when we finally get a video game adaptation that really fits with the realistic style that most corporations get, it sort of gets boggled down by the fact that it has the worst writing of all time. Oof. Anyway, how long have I been streaming? I've been streaming for 3 hours now. Alright, let me just finish this one frame, then we can call it a day. Oh my god, we talked so much today, guys. Anything else I haven't talked about? I guess this is a speed run. I can just talk about my experience with trying out Taco Bell for the first time. Taco Bell isn't really a chain that commonly exists here in the Philippines, but I finally did found a chain here near my place. And my review of Taco Bell for the first time is that I think the burritos isn't really what I expected it to be. I mean, I have tried burritos before through a chain, a more common chain here in the Philippines called Army Navy, and their burritos are packed with rice, meats, pork, and other stuff that you would add into a burrito. And I have that as reference for how good this burrito is in Taco Bell, and the burrito didn't feel as compact as the burrito I have in Army Navy. I guess also same goes for its taco. I feel like the taco didn't have that much meat into it. But there's one positive thing I like about Taco Bell is its pricing. For like 360 pesos, which is around, I'd say $6. For $6 you get a 12 ounce soft drink, a taco, a burrito, and nachos by the side. And to me that feels like a very stuffy meal in my opinion, compared to, say, I don't know, Army Navy, wherein for that same price you only get just one burrito without any drinks on the side. I guess that's the one thing that Taco Bell has over Army Navy when it comes to their way they market stuff. It's the fact that they sell Mexican food for a very low price compared to other chains. And I guess the only direct competitor that Taco Bell has in this country is, I guess, Nacho King, which is this smaller establishment that specializes in selling nachos. But I feel like their menu, the Nacho King menu, is much smaller compared to Taco Bell's. They don't sell burritos, they only sell nachos of one variety, and maybe some quesadillas. Other than that, nothing much to the menu of Nacho King. Which is why I guess that Taco Bell is pretty good as an affordable meal. Not really good if you want to find the best quality Mexican food here in this side of the world. How many frames are left? Oh shit! Oh my god! Have you not seen my timeline here? Oh my god! So I'm right now in frame 10 and I need to somehow make it all the way up to frame 214. So yeah, we still have a long way to go, and I'm thinking of maybe doing this offline instead of doing this on stream. Yeah, so we have a long way. Still have a long way to go, man. So expect more Blender and chatting streams in the future. But I might have to do this offline, as I've said before. This is a long process. Don't get me started on how long it's gonna be. Now the good thing is that I think I'm gonna have to animate 2 more fighting scenes, and then I just need to make one scene that doesn't require that much frames, that would just deliver a punchline. Then I'll be done with this animation soon enough. But this ain't the only animation I'm working on, by the way. I'm also working on a 3D animation. A 3D animation that is going to be a Harvest Moon parody. And to that, I think that's much more easier to animate compared to this. You know, there's a reason why the Gaslight District is being marketed heavily now in Glitch Productions, and not that one animated series being created by the person behind the Owl House. You know, what's the name of that show again? It's the one wherein it's like a dark fantasy. you know, if you watched Glitch Productions recently. The reason why they're doing that is because 3D animation is just much easier to work with compared to 2D animation. Which is why I'm working on 2 animations right now. One is this, the other is the what I've said, the Harvest Moon parody. It's going to be a 3D animated film. And I'm doing that because, well, Isn't that because I just want some variety in the way I work here? I don't want to just be coloring and making 2D frames here on Blender. I wanna you know, flex my other muscles and get into 3D modeling and making materials and geometry nodes here. And I think my avenue for that right now is in making a Harvest Moon animation. I haven't done any rigging and animation on that project as of the moment. But it's gonna... I have made like I'm now in the middle of making the sets for that animation. If you've seen my live stream VODs for this channel, you would have noticed that I'm now starting on making a cozy cabin, and that said cozy cabin will be a part of a set for this film I'm working on, which is fun to me. I think that project to me is now much more fun compared to this, even though I feel like I should be focusing more on this because because I don't know, I've been working on this for almost a year now, and you sort of get kind of used to just adding grease pencil frames, coloring them, adjusting the 3D models, and repeat. You know, you just want a little bit of something else to add to the table, and I think my other animation project is just giving me that for me. Aside from that, I've also been working on some music. I mean, in the past I've been working on some music, but for now, I'm stepping back on touching LMMS for now, which is my DAW software that I primarily use to make all of the background music for my live streams and videos. I just don't feel that much of a challenge whenever I make music compared to, you know, doing stuff like coding and making 3D models of my favorite IPs. You know, it's for this reason that I admire people who, or at least admire YouTubers that try to stick to one genre specifically, like Minecraft YouTubers. Like I feel like people would get insane by playing Minecraft every day for the rest of your life in your YouTube channel. It could get kind of exhausting in a while. As well as, you know, even Blender YouTubers like the Blender Guru. A man has to wonder if the Blender Guru is doing alright. Because even though Blender is a very big software, I could imagine Andrew Price maybe sitting in his couch and thinking whether he should, you know, try to expand his skills to other things like, I don't know. Like making animations for his Blender, in his Blender. Like a man can dream bigger than, you know, just making Blender tutorials for the rest of his life, right? Anyway, let me just make some adjustments here. Make a stuff here. Make a more stuff here. All right. Woo! Oh my god. Alright, as for some future plans ahead of the stream. I'm thinking of doing another VS Code stream as our next stream. I'm not sure when it will happen, but it will happen eventually. It's not tomorrow, I would say, because I have to do some studying for my exams. But yeah, I want to do another VS Code stream because I realized after I did my VS Code stream last time that I forgot to showcase a bunch of websites to you guys, as you know, as per tradition, to promote the indie web. So I want to do a makeup Visual Studio Code stream to make up for the fact that I didn't promote any websites during that stream. As well as during that stream, I'll probably also try to update the HTML and CSS of my website. And maybe do some more JavaScript learning with you guys through Bro Code. I'm finding now the possibilities that I can make with the use of arrays. Arrays to me are just, I think, a very powerful tool, in my opinion. And I think my next lesson will be on the topic of dictionaries, I think. Which is great. Alright, let me just quickly make this. Alright, let's point up this man's arm. Actually, no, let's extend the stream to one more frame. Because I do want to paint up this cowboy here. Alright, hold on, let me just paint up this guy. Like this. Oh, shoot. I almost knocked down my microphone here for a second. Ah, shit, it's raining. By the way, guys, if you're hearing some background noise, I apologize. Either the rain that you're hearing or a fan that's blowing some wind on me right now. Either way, those are the two culprits behind the background noise right now. So if you're ever having problems with hearing my voice, I apologize. There we go. Oh wait. What else can we talk about? Okay, let me just draw a bunch of this over here, as well as this one over here. I guess if you're watching this, you're probably you're probably putting this in the second monitor, because most of the time I'm just doing some very boring stuff here in the background of this Blender interface. And I don't fault you on that. I sometimes whenever I try to work on stuff, if it's mindless shit like this, I'd usually pull up a podcast or a non-attentive video essay on the latest games on the side to give me some background noise while I work on this shit. I think the people that I usually go to whenever I like the background noise I usually go to accommodate the things I'm working on here is usually either the Trash Taste podcast or the guys, the Red Letter Media, because they are a funny bunch of fellows, both Mike and Jay from Half in the Bag. If you guys just want to listen to two guys bitching around about how old they are while talking about some movies, just go watch Red Letter Media. I think their their video on Best of the Worst is I think my favorite. Listening while studying for the exam. Well, for those when studying, I don't usually put background noise, or I don't usually pull up my second monitor and just watch YouTube videos, because when you're studying, I want my full attention, because I want to learn the lessons I want to study. But if it's something like this where I just mindlessly color my characters here in this animation, I would usually pull up a second monitor for this and watch Red Letter Media and see Mike and Jay talk about how their bladders isn't big enough to finish out the Minecraft movie. Minecraft movie. There's a difference between pulling up the second monitor for mindless stuff like this and pulling up the second monitor for studying. It's very different. You want something that's not too distracting, but interesting enough to pull up to get the adrenaline rolling in your brain, that you can somehow use to your advantage to finish up a boring project like this. Just reading the English stories. I guess if you're reading, I guess you can pull up. No, I don't do second monitor shit if it's reading stories and stuff. If I'm drawing though, or I guess more so drawing is where I pull up the second monitor, or if I'm 3D modeling some things in Blender. But things like writing, composing music, and coding as well, I don't watch YouTube videos on the side for that. Speaking of coding and pulling up your second monitor, I heard of this trend called vibe coding, wherein people just use AI to help them with their code. And I must say though, I don't know if that's really the best way to learn code. I mean, I think the only reason why I'm not really into it is because AI is somehow involved in it. But the more I think about it, I guess the more it makes sense that you want AI to take care of your code in a way. I mean, it does somehow speed up the process, and code isn't really that much of an art form to begin with. But I'm really against vibe coding just for the fact that, you know, in my case right now, I don't really understand how coding even works in a way. And being able to read code to me is, I think, the best skill that one can have, so that they can learn how to troubleshoot problems along the way in their code. But vibe coding eliminates that by just saying that the answers to all of your problems is just to rely on your AI, and it's like, I don't think that's really the best way to deal things. I mean, you can have AI as maybe your second voice, to, as you know, if you want a second opinion on a piece of code, you can maybe use AI to help you with that. But other than that, I don't. It's still imperative for someone to understand how to read and write code, so that they know how to fix problems along the way. Anyway, let me just quickly make another frame here. There we go. Let me get the cowboy collar up in here. Let's do the draw. Oh wait, no, it's already all in. I can just do it here, I guess. It's still in line. Okay. I'll just paint up this cowboy, then we can maybe call it a day. I'm not sure. Okay, let's pull up the cowboy. And let's just paint up this guy. There we go. And let's paint up this guy, like this. I guess the one thing really I have a problem with AI right now is that it sort of forces, people to remove their abilities to actually think critically with what they actually write or create with the AI, with the things that AI generates. Like I've seen some classmates of mine in college that uses AI to make some of the presentations we do at school. And when I finally see them, you know, recite the generated answer in ChatGPT, I think to myself, wait, that doesn't make sense. Why are you talking about that? Because you know, this also happened when I was when we were having our oral reports on emerging dental materials. Someone decided to write their section of the report based on a generated answer by ChatGPT, and the guy was like, "Yo, can you give me an emerging dental material that I can present to class?" And ChatGPT is like, "Yeah, I can give you this." And what ChatGPT generated was a dental material that was being produced by a brand that is, I guess, newly created in recent years. So technically, he is the AI did technically give him a brand new dental material, but the problem is that with our class for this semester, or a report for this specific class requires us to talk about an actually new material that's, you know, has, you know, different compounds or mixtures. It's not different just because a different brand introduced them to it. Because you know, because because right now what he presented was just an old material being marketed as new by a new brand, and to the teacher that's not new, that's just old. with a special with a new coat of paint, you know. And I guess my teacher was really suspected that it was wrong, because he pretty much flamed my classmates for not giving the teacher a true emerging dental material in the 21st century, which is why it's best for you guys to know, at least before you ask AI to do your assignments, maybe you should at least study first on the subject that you're trying to question, so that when you finally ask AI to generate an answer for you, you can sort of figure out whether or not what he says is wrong or not. Because what I figured out, not only with AI but with all new forms of technology right now, what I figured out from those is that technology can also make mistakes, because we humans were the ones who created it. Humans create error, therefore technology still has the capability to make mistakes. Ergo, maybe not the most obvious of mistakes, like if we are going to doing this by hand, if we gotta do stuff by hand, but still, it's the mistakes are still there, and it's up to us as people to sort of correct those mistakes by thinking critically and not heavily relying on AI to help us correct those mistakes. Like AI should be more so it's a generator, but it should not be the editor that's responsible for checking up on our mistakes, you know, because AI is still just another product of human knowledge and experience. So better to just make sure that it's on the right mindset when you ask them questions, by thinking critically about what they generate. Speaking of AI, I gotta say though, I was never really AI never really got me pissed on anything up to this point. Up until I found a Facebook post while I was scrolling through Facebook, because you know my family is there on Facebook, so I usually check up on the site to see what my family's been doing behind the scenes. And while I was scrolling through my Facebook feed, I found this sort of post created by this obscure Facebook group. And this Facebook post, it was of someone showing a generated image of a... Okay, there's gonna be a content warning for you guys. Content warning to anyone who is watching the stream. But when I saw this image, it was a generated image created by AI of a woman pregnant with it was a picture of a woman pregnant, and the woman was sort of staring onto a wall of condoms with a big smile on her face. and I was just so weirded out by it. Like the wall is filled up with condoms pinned to the wall itself. And there was a pregnant woman with a smile on his face. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Who decided to make this? And I'm like, oh my god! And the worst part of all, you know what's the worst part of all, guys? That image took the Ghibli style and and made it this horrifying portrayal of something. I don't I'm just lost. I'm just a loss of words. Like, what the fuck was that? What did I just see in Facebook, man? And to think that the style that the image inherited was from a series of movies I love and adore, from Hayao Miyazaki. It's I was like so both weirded out and pissed by the fact that this Studio Ghibli generated AI generated image was is portraying like the most horrifying and strangest of meme like degeneracy. And it's from this point that I'm just now just so not into the AI movement or anyone who's into the idea of letting AI generate stuff for them, because these are I guess the community, the AI community is just very weird to me. I don't know. It's I don't like it. I just don't like people who use AI. I guess it's not. I guess it's just not the fault of the technology, but more so the people who are using this AI that I have an issue with. Because they really just take a spit and disgrace everything that makes art in a way. Yeah, it's weird. I don't wanna I'm moving out of this topic. I don't wanna talk about this people or this Facebook post of this guy. I don't know. Anyway, go watch Studio Ghibli. Don't look at these AI generated Studio Ghibli knockoffs. Go watch The Boy and the Heron. That's a much worthy piece of art of your time than that. Oh boy. Anyway, I think I'm about to end this stream in a sour note, but hey, if there's one thing you can take from this discussion, just don't use AI art, because you're gonna be grouped along with people who have no idea how art even is supposed to be interpreted in this, and by most people. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna stop the stream right here. If you like our discussion or what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm gonna go ahead and rest and study for an exam that'll be taking tomorrow. So that'll be it, guys. Now go read a book. Bye bye.